Hey friends, what's up? Kaz here. Welcome back to another server admin tutorial, otherwise known as Bucket Plugin Tutorials. So this week, well, first of all, if you're joining me for the first time, feel free to hit that subscribe button below because I do these every week. Sometimes, if you're lucky like this week, twice a week if I find an easy one to go over like I did. But anyway, this week is brought to you by Alexander Brun. And he suggests compass navigation. Now this is one I've played with a long time ago. It has since changed a little bit, and it's really neat. And all it is like what you see on all those servers where you got the compass and then it opens up all of this stuff, and you got some menus, and you can do warps, and you can do special commands like that, and private messages. So anyway, oh man, this is difficult. So first off, this plugin's made by Ads Woolly, so go ahead and check them out in the gibbles below. However, it is interesting because it looks easier to set up than it actually is. Now, by what they say on the website, you should be able to do CN or Compass Nav setup, and it should bring up an in-game setup menu, which it does not, which took me a little bit to figure out where the setup is because it's not linked. The guide is not linked on the main page, but if you look at your console, there is a link in your console to it. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to hop over to the configuration file, and I'm going to show you how it goes in there, and then we'll go over the permission. And then we'll also look at WorldGuard integration, which this offers. You can restrict what regions it can run in. So if you have a PvP area, you can restrict it in there so people cannot warp out of there. It also does Vault integration and protocol lib integration. Now I think the protocol lib is like a scripts thing, and then Vault is obviously economy, so you can charge money for using certain aspects in the compass navigation. So let's hop over to the configuration file to take a look at that, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so here we are in the config file. Like any other plugin, you've dropped your compass navigation.jar file in your plugins folder, and then this all loads up. So this is a bunch of notes on different aspects of this setup. You can modify some names and all that stuff. You can do all of this. You can change the sounds that's used, the title, all that stuff you can change. So think of the commands as like your top level menus section. So we use the compass for one of them. You can actually, I believe you can change the name of this. And then this is the name that you want to use there. And then you come down to items, you set your item, that's the compass. And then when you hit right click, it's going to open this, and then it's going to open down here. Now this is what is the important part. So that is going to access this menu. And what the plugin seems to do is when you first start it up, this is completely blank. So when you go to try to set up or run compass, it says that you've not set up your teleport. So you have to kind of come in here already and configure it. So let's go through this configuration a little bit. So the first off is the title of that menu. You saw it when we right clicked on it. You can set the number of rows. So we only did one row, and then in slot number 2 we use ID, I think that's orange wool, and then this is, you can set the amount. Now all of these, this is not necessary, this is not necessary, the lore is not necessary either. The amount is just like if you want to denote a number on that, because then it looks like it's a stacked items. And then you can set your name here. Also goes by the color codes and all that stuff. And then you can set the lore. You can actually set multiple lines of lore if you just want to do this and then do this thing. So I can show you that in a moment. And then what that's gonna do is it's gonna open a sub menu, inventory. So inventory servers is actually going to be down here. This is another menu. So it can get kind of confusing, but just think of the inventory here as sub menus, and then it sets up on the same line as this teleport. And then in slot number 4, we got sword, and then you can set it to be enchanted if you'd like to, and name, all that stuff. And then you can run commands. So in the command section, once again, not necessary for each one of these, but in the command section, you can have it do quite a number of things. And actually, it actually works with essentials. So if you want to change this to be, warp and then PvP. So that will work too. And then here's the next bit. If you want to add a console command, it's going to be C and then colon and then what you want to run on the console. And then you also have this messages option, which this can all be stacked on the same item here. And you can run a private message just to that person. So we didn't actually set the name for this, but anyway, your variable there is name. You can actually charge a price for running this stuff. So that's the price field. I will, the best way to do this, I will link you to the super secret config file that the author does. I will also provide a download link for this config. He also provides a config file that he's modified, that he walked through with a tutorial. So it's a great page. Go check it out. And then here's our sub of that. And the big one here is what you guys are probably looking for is Bungie. So if you do Bungie colon and then that will take that user to this server in your Bungie core. But keep in mind you need to be running Bungie and that's all got to be working. So that's it for the config file. Let's hop back in the game and I'll show you guys. We'll wrap this up with some permission nodes and then the world guard, all that. Okay, so here we do. Welcome back. So the last bit that we want to get is the permission nodes. So I'm just going to put those on screen here. So the main ones is your compass nav.use. That's going to let anybody use them. And if you want them to be able to use a sign to open the compass nav, that's going to be compass nav.sign.use. Now I know we didn't go over that, but you can check it out on the config or on the website. If you want to remove them from being able to use a single slot, so if you want only your donors to use like a special warp or whatever you want, then you have to negate or negative the permission node compass nav.use.slot. Whatever number that is. If you're doing 2 lines, I didn't mention this earlier, but your second line is just a continuation numbering of this first. So then your second line starts at 10 and goes to 19, and then your third line starts at 20 and goes to 29. That kind of makes sense. And then if you want your admins to be able to edit anything in the compass nav, and actually I don't think this really holds any value because there's no in-game setup, but probably the author will be able to fix this. It'll be compass nav.admin. And then there's also some perks that you can add to your compass navigation, to your donors, anything like that. That's going to be compass nav.perks, and there's a whole bunch of sub ones under there. You can make it free for any numbers or any slot numbers. You can also bypass the world guard flags. You can bypass the disabled worlds flags. You can also bypass the cooldown flag and all that stuff. So the last bit here, let's go ahead. I'm going to show you how to block this from working in a certain world. So you can see that we were able to warp there. So then we're going to set this region. Oh yeah, that's still region define PvP. Oops. All right. So then you can do region flag PvP compass deny. So then that should maybe because I'm up. Hold on. I don't know. Let's try it one more time. Yep. Looks like that's still not working. Anyway, well, it was worth a try. I tried everything I could to get that working, but yeah, so hopefully you guys found this helpful. Feel free to check out the gibbles below to the config and setup file because that's going to be your biggest guide in this. I'll also make the one that I got here downloadable, so you got these, and you can play around with that. So keep in mind the in-game setup is not working right now. The author will probably get that working shortly. That's all I got. So if you found it helpful, please leave a like below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer, but you might be better just commenting on the author's webpage. And that's all I got. So this is Cos from McFriends reminding you guys all, enjoy the game. God bless. One is the farthest, but look at that jump. Oh, we're so close. We're so close. I can taste it. No. No. There we go. Now we got to get back.